Hey guys, good evening. I hope everyone is doing well. This is Jordan Locke here, and I wanted to hop on to make a video about this Carlee Russell situation, right? So this is something that's been all over the news lately. I had my opinions on the situation when we first heard the news that she was allegedly abducted or kidnapped, but I wanted to hold off on making a video until more facts came out about the situation. I certainly didn't want to be the person to jump the gun and accuse, Carlee of something awful if it wasn't the case. Even though there were a lot of questionable circumstances around this entire situation, right? But I think at this point now, it's been almost a week. A lot of facts have come out. A lot of people have questions. There are a lot of doubts. A lot of concerns circulating that this entire thing was a hoax. And I wanted to voice my opinion on this entire situation after the recent revelation of facts that have come out concerning this Carlee Russell disappearance or kidnapping or alleged abduction. So the first thing I noticed right off the bat when this entire thing started happening is I took a look at the traffic video that was taken on the highway that Carlee Russell was on when she allegedly was abducted. Okay, so this is the video that came out. This is the actual highway that Carlee Russell was on when her car pulled over. You can see her car there in the shoulder of the highway with blinkers on. And this is where she tells police or 911 that she notices a toddler walking on the side of the highway. And she tells 911 that she pulls over here to investigate and find out why this toddler is by itself walking on the highway. The first issue that I have here is if you notice while you're looking at the screen, there is a lot of traffic on this highway, right? This isn't some secluded highway out in the country in Alabama somewhere where she's the only person on the highway for miles around. There's a lot of traffic here. There are tons of cars. There are a couple trucks that pass by. So my first question becomes, see, there's a truck right there, 18-wheeler in the right lane, huge headlights, would have definitely noticed if there was a toddler walking around on the side of the highway. Two trucks, actually, right next to each other, followed by more cars. How did none of these people see this toddler walking on the side of the highway? How is it that only one person, and that person is Carlee Russell, saw this toddler by itself on the side of the highway, yet no one else driving on the highway at this particular time saw any toddler whatsoever or any other suspicious behavior for that matter, right? So this is the first question that I had. This is when I first started having some kind of doubts, and I noticed that the situation was pretty problematic, but it's not really enough to go off of, and I certainly, again, don't want to be the person to accuse Carlee Russell of lying if this wasn't the case and she actually was abducted, right? This is weird, but certainly not damning in any way. So this is the first thing I noticed. Kind of didn't say anything about this, although people were talking about this on the internet and online. The second thing that came out recently that I found to be even more damning than this is the statement that Carlee Russell's parents released, right? So let's take a look at this statement here. This statement was released on Tuesday, and this is the statement. On behalf of Carlee Russell and her family, we first want to sincerely acknowledge and thank everyone for all your prayers, reward contributions through Crime Stoppers, and all the numerous acts of kindness shown to us. We asked God to perform, and He did. We understand and appreciate the sincere concern. However, we would like the public to understand a few things. First and foremost, Carlee's physical and mental well-being is our immediate concern. This has been a traumatic experience for Carlee and secondly for our family. So the first thing that I noticed here right off the bat is that the parents are being purposely vague here, right? And I find this to be kind of odd for parents of someone who was just genuinely kidnapped. And, if you haven't noticed the vagueness yet, you'll notice it as I continue reading, but they seem to be strangely vague in the statement. Secondly, this is an outstanding investigation, and we have fully cooperated with authorities from the onset and will continue to do so. Carlee has given detectives her statement, and hopefully they are pursuing her abductor. It will be up to law enforcement to determine what information they want to release and when they want to release this information as to not compromise the investigation. Further, we understand that there are some questions about the reward donations through Crime Stoppers. It is my understanding from information I received when the reward was set up that any donations received that were not used for the reward would be returned to each donor. Lastly, when we initially asked for the help of the public in searching and praying for Carlee's safe return, we asked for sincere prayers, not prayers of support that came with strings or entitlement. I want you to remember that statement as I continue reading, because that statement is key. We have not created nor authorized any GoFundMe accounts, nor solicited money from anyone. Okay, fair enough. Please understand our mental state and the anguish we have just experienced, and that Carlee is still dealing with, and understand that no matter how many demands or false narratives that are produced, we will not be bullied into doing anything that will compromise our daughter's mental well-being or the investigation. Also, we will not entertain the negative social media comments with a response, so you find someone to do it. God has been good to us and brought our daughter safely home, and we will not participate in allowing this moment to be tainted. There is one terrible and heartless hoax we want to address out of several. I received a text at some point from someone claiming to be Carlee and that she was at the Red Roof Inn. However, when my family went there and knocked on doors and looked for her, there was no indication that Carlee was there, nor that she had ever been there. Any further questions or comments about the case will need to be directed to Hoover Police or the ABI. So when I initially read the statement from the parents, two things stood out to me initially. The first was the sentence that I told you to remember in the fourth or fifth paragraph. Lastly, when we initially asked for help of the public in searching and praying for Carlee's safe return, we asked for sincere prayers, not prayers or support that came with strings or entitlement. This sentence for me is very problematic because I don't see how parents whose daughter was just genuinely abducted or kidnapped would stoop so low in a public statement that was issued to address false information, or to say something like, we ask for sincere prayers, not prayers of support that came with strings or entitlement. Does that sound like language that would come from parents who had a daughter who was actually abducted or actually kidnapped? Would they be focusing on the criticism or the doubts that were online? That wouldn't be their focus, I don't think. I'm certainly no psychologist, I'll admit that. But common sense tells me that that would be the least of their worries. The criticisms and doubts that are coming out online would be the very least of Carlee Russell's worries. Had this been a situation where she was actually abducted and or kidnapped. The other problem is the last statement concerning the Red Roof Inn. Once again, this is a situation where the parents are claiming that they were victims of a hoax here, that someone called claiming to be Carlee, and that person was in the Red Roof Inn, and they went to investigate. Again, if your daughter has really been abducted or kidnapped, why would you care to address something like this in public? This is not something you'd have any interest in addressing if your daughter was the victim of an abduction or a kidnapping. It doesn't make any sense, right? To me, both of these statements, both of those sentences in this statement are self-reports. And when I say self-reports, I mean these two sentences strike me as extremely petty for parents of a kidnapping victim to be addressing, right? So right off the bat, there are a couple things that are problematic. There are also some other issues that were problematic that people have been pointing out online. And really quick, I noticed that there are a lot of people on Twitter and on the internet that are saying that people are not owed an explanation as to what happened. I disagree with that. I think people are owed an explanation as to what happened, especially when public funds were used in searching for Carlee. I don't know how much money was spent searching for Carlee, but I saw an awful lot of police cars out there, an awful lot of volunteers out in those woods searching. There had to have been a good amount of money spent on this investigation, both private and public so far. This investigation, which, mind you, has turned up no evidence of anything. There's still no evidence of a toddler walking around on that highway. There's no evidence that there was an abductor at any point. The police have made this very clear on multiple occasions. So when you take a step back and look at this entire thing, this becomes problematic. None of this stuff adds up at all. The last thing I want to address is a CNN article that just came out today, and it is about this Carlee Russell situation. And this article addresses the statement of the Hoover Police Department, right? So this is on CNN's front page, and the title of this article is "Police Share New Details About the Disappearance of Carlee Russell, the woman who went missing in Alabama after calling 911 about a child on the interstate." There are several things in this article that are very problematic for Carlee's story, right? So first off, the police have said that they can't corroborate anything that Carlee mentioned in her initial statement. I'm going to read parts of this article. Police shared new details Wednesday on the case of Carlee Nicole Russell, the Alabama woman who went missing for 49 hours last week after calling 911 to report a toddler walking alone on the side of the highway. At the news conference, Hoover Police Chief Nick Durzis said the investigation continues, but authorities do not believe that there is a threat to the community, which is just south of Birmingham. So read into that. The police are saying that they don't believe that there is a threat to the community. In a situation like this, had there been an actual abduction, the first thing the police would be trying to do is cover for themselves and make sure that the public knew that there was a threat to the public out there. The police, right off the bat, are distancing themselves and saying that they don't believe that there is a threat to the public. That's the first red flag with Carlee Russell's situation. The chief said officers have been unable to verify most of Russell's initial statement, though they want to interview her again. And apparently, Carlee Russell is taking time to recuperate from whatever ordeal. And once again, the parents have been extremely vague as to what Carlee Russell's recuperation is like. Is this a physical recuperation? Is she emotionally recuperating? And had this been an actual abduction, it obviously wouldn't have been anybody's business. But given all of the facts that don't add up with the situation, combined with the fact that the parents are being extremely vague about Carlee's recuperation, and this becomes problematic. Russell's mother has said she believes her daughter was abducted before she returned home 2 days later on foot. Carlee has given detectives her statement, and hopefully they are pursuing her abductor, Talitha Robinson Russell said in a statement to CNN. Now, I'm going to skip to the part where the police issue a statement. So, Carlee Russell apparently spoke to the investigators one time during this entire ordeal. The police haven't spoke to Russell since after she returned home on Saturday. Durzis told reporters she told investigators that she got out of the vehicle Thursday to check on a child, and a man came out of the trees and mumbled that he was checking on the baby. She claimed that the man then picked her up and she screamed, he said. According to the chief, Russell told police the man made her go over to a fence and she was forced into a car. The next thing she remembers is being in a trailer of an 18-wheeler. So somehow she doesn't recollect what happened between being forced into a car and then suddenly being awake in an 18-wheel trailer. She stated that the male was with a female, however, she never saw the female, only hearing her voice. She also told detectives that she could hear a baby crying. So again, these are all very weird statements. They're all very vague statements, not a whole lot of details. We saw a very similar situation to this with the Sherry Papini case. I don't know if you remember that, but this is a case that happened a few years ago where a blonde-haired, blue-eyed woman supposedly went missing. The state spent hundreds of thousands of dollars trying to find her. It turns out the entire time she was with her ex-boyfriend, spending time with her ex-boyfriend. She had a husband and she was married, and her husband didn't know any of this. Meanwhile, the police are looking for her. The public is looking for her. And it ended up being a huge hoax. She ended up fooling everybody. She was just with her ex-boyfriend. I remember when Sherry Papini was making statements about her captors, which, by the way, she went there with a race card and said that her captors were Puerto Rican females who had like bandanas on or something like that. And there was some other stuff that came out in the past about Sherry Papini making racist comments online, but we'll leave that alone for now. She made really vague comments about her disappearance, very similar to Carlee Russell's comments here. We'll talk about Sherry Papini more in a little bit. Carlee claims she was blindfolded, but was not tied up because the captors said they did not want to leave impressions on her wrist. Why would the captors tell her that they don't want to leave impressions on her wrist? Why would they say that to her? She said they took her into a house and made her get undressed. She believes they took pictures of her, but does not remember them having any physical or sexual contact. Think about that for a second. These people went out of their way using a toddler to capture her and abduct her so they can just take pictures. There was no type of assault or anything like that. Why would Carlee say this? Why would she go out of her way to say that she thinks they took pictures, but there's no assault? The reason why is because in the hospital, they're obviously going to do a kit. And you know what kind of kit. Can't say it on YouTube, but they're going to do a kit just to verify what she's saying. She knows that what she's saying is not going to hold up, which is why she inserted this statement in this interview with the police. Again, more red flags. Russell told police the next day she woke up and the woman fed her cheese crackers and played with her hair. The chief said Russell told police she was able to escape after being put in back of a vehicle. She said she ran through the woods before coming out near her home. Russell came home around 10:45 p.m. on Saturday, returning on foot, according to Hoover police. Authorities said she was taken to a hospital, treated, and released. Detectives want to speak to her again. The family has stated to us that they didn't think that in her mental state right now, because of the trauma of the incident, she's ready to talk, the chief told reporters. She definitely fought for her life, her parents said. There were moments when she physically had to fight for her life, and there were moments when she had to mentally fight for her life. So I want to get to the most damning part of this article, right? And this is that the police have released some searches that were on Carlee Russell's phone, some Google searches that she had recently done. Now, take a look at these searches here. After police found Carlee Russell's cell phone on Thursday, they looked for information on it. They discovered web searches that included, do you have to pay for an Amber Alert? That was a search on Carlee Russell's phone. And how to take money from a register without being caught. That was another search on Carlee Russell's phone. Durzis also said searches for bus tickets from Birmingham to Nashville and for the movie Taken. You know, you guys remember the Liam Neeson movie Taken about the abduction? Searches about that movie were also on her phone. When police arrived at Russell's car last Thursday, they found her wig and her cell phone in the grass near her vehicle, and her purse was in the front seat of the car. There was no sign of her or the child. There was food from a restaurant in the car. However, it also came out that Carlee Russell went to Target right before this entire situation. She bought a bunch of snacks at Target, and the police didn't find the snacks in the car. So the abductors left her wallet, left her purse, left her cell phone, left her wig there, but took her snacks. In combination with the fact that she was earlier searching for, do you have to pay for an Amber Alert? All red flags, very obviously. So, guys, I'm coming to a point here, and this situation I'm pretty emotional about. And I'll tell you why I'm emotional about it. And I'm emotional in the sense that I am very upset that Carlee Russell did this to everybody. And I'll tell you why in a little bit. But when you step back and you take a look at all these facts, right? The fact that the interstate that Carlee Russell stopped on was extremely busy, lots of people driving, nobody saw a toddler. She had been searching for, does it cost anything to issue an Amber Alert? How to steal money from a register? These were all searches that were on her cell phone before this entire thing happened. They left her wallet, her purse, her cell phone, but they took her snacks somehow. Her statement, her parents' statement, addressing the doubts and the concerns and the questions that the public have, that the public rightfully has. Because don't forget, public funds were spent on this investigation. When you take a step back and you look at all these things don't paint a good picture for Carlee Russell, all right? This is all very bad for her. This is all pointing to nothing more than a hoax. Now, why do I care that this is a hoax? I'm just a person who has no affiliation with Carlee Russell. I don't know her, but I am willing to say that Carlee Russell is a selfish person, extremely selfish, just like Justin Smollett was selfish, just like Sherry Papini was selfish, just as selfish as every one of these people. The only difference is that Carlee Russell is worse than Sherry Papini. And I'll tell you why she's worse than Sherry Papini. The reason why Carlee Russell is a selfish human being and she's worse than Sherry Papini, because what she did is going to affect black people who go missing for years and years to come now. This is going to cause irreparable damage to the legitimacy of claims of black men, black women, black children who go missing from this point forward for years. It shouldn't be that way. And the reason why it's like that is because of racism. But that doesn't change the fact that that is the case. That is the situation. Every black person, unfortunately, it's unfortunate that it has to be like this, but every black person is a representative of the black race. And because of that, we all have a responsibility to carry ourselves in the best way possible. And again, I'm not saying it's right that it's like that, but that is what the case is. We all have a responsibility. And what Carlee Russell has done here is going to negatively affect me as a black person. It's going to negatively affect my year-old niece if anything were to potentially ever happen to her. Hopefully not. It's going to affect all other types of black people all across this country. Because now, because of Carlee Russell's actions, their situations are going to be questioned and deemed as illegitimate, unfortunately. And this is a huge problem. This is a huge, huge problem. And I really hope that Carlee Russell understands the gravity of what she's done and the damage that she has caused to black people all across the country. Now, I understand that everyone is human. I understand that people make mistakes. Black people are not black people are not perfect. White people aren't perfect. Everybody makes mistakes of every race. But the fact of the matter is that because of Carlee Russell's race, she has a responsibility to carry herself in the utmost fashion. And her doing this is going to damage every person who has the skin color that Carlee Russell has for years to come. So I just want to end this video with a statement that Carlee Russell's parents made in that statement that I read earlier. And Carlee Russell's parents said at one point that they will not be bullied. And they essentially are saying that this is not people's business, right? What happens to her. And I would argue that it most certainly is people's business, right? It is our business because public funds were spent on trying to find Carlee. Private funds were spent on trying to find Carlee. Many people spent time, not even forget the funds. People took a lot of time to try to spend Carlee Russell. And the end result is that what we have is a black woman who selfishly lied to the entire country. And because of that, affected my life as a black person, potentially affected my niece's life as a person of color, every other black person in this country. I think that once the police prove that this is with 100% certainty that this situation is a hoax, Carlee Russell should be arrested and thrown in jail. That's my opinion. So I want to hear what you guys think in the comments, guys. I know this situation has been a pretty heavy situation. I do want to say that I'm happy that Carlee Russell is home and not injured. That would have been a worse outcome. But this outcome that we've come to at this point is not a great outcome at all. And we are going to hear about this as people of color. We're going to hear about this situation for years and years to come. And it's all because of how selfish Carlee Russell is. I want to hear your guys' comments in the comment section down below. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. And I will be back soon with another video. Hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to you soon. Take care.